Hello, everybody. Welcome to the June 26th, 2024 Environmental Management Commission meeting. And welcome. I also want to apologize. This has been my month for COVID, so my voice may or may not last for the meeting. So Dot, be ready to take over for me. Just going around, for some reason I can't get rid of this top message. Okay. Go around and identify who's here. I do not see Jim Beats, but he's our District 1 representative. Can you turn your camera on, Jim, or do you not want to? He's got to be on camera, right?
Georgine, I maybe it'd be better if it wasn't working, but I'm working on it, trying to get it to activate. So give me a couple of minutes, it should work.
Okay, I think we've got enough quorum on view to let you keep fiddling with it. Laura Casio is our representative from District 2, and I don't believe she's going to be able to make this meeting. Del Atsuka is District 3, wave Del. Not seeing Erica. Is she going to be here, Peter?
I haven't heard from her.
Okay, well, Erica Perez is from District 4. If she appears, I will introduce her. We have a vacancy in District 5. So if anybody knows anybody there who would be good to join the EMC, please encourage them to apply. Lee McIntosh is there from District 6. And then in the room in Kona is Gonzalo Garcia from District 7 and Dorothy Norris from District 8, and I'm Georgine Adams, District 9, and the chair. So call the meeting officially to order at 9:03, and we will begin. Hello, COVID rebound. The approval for the minutes is the second agenda item. Is there a motion to approve?
I approve. I'm making the motion.
Okay, you make the motion. A second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any comments, corrections for Peter to make on the minutes? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Say aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Oh, late aye, but it was an aye, so we'll take it. The minutes are approved. Thank you very much, and thank you to Peter for the yeoman job of putting that together. I'll keep my statement from the chair brief. Like I said, I've been COVID is on this island, and some of us are unfortunate enough to have gotten a rebound version of it. So that's why I'm not in Kona. And will occasionally come. So I'm glad people can make the meeting, and we've been holding quorum for a long time on this commission, and I really want to thank you all for making efforts to make sure you can make the meetings. It is so frustrating to have to cancel because of lack of quorum. The next item is item 4, public statements on items on the agenda. And do we have anyone on the call on the meeting who would like to present comments either at this time or when we get to the agenda item? If you could raise your hand or let Peter.
I have some public comments on some of the upcoming agenda items. This is Alan Cookadizou.
And which items?
It's under the AOC. compliance for the
Okay.
county water.
Do you wish to speak at the time we come up to that item or right now?
Yes, I do. When the item comes
Okay.
up,
When it comes up, okay.
yes.
Remind me, Peter, so that I don't forget. Anybody else who would like to make an oral testimony?
Oh, aloha. I would like to make an oral testimony. I submitted written testimony, so and pertaining to the wastewater treatment plant. So I don't know. I haven't been to your meeting before, so I don't know. It seems like you only allow testimony related to agenda items rather than just general public.
There will be a presentation under the agenda item 7.3 from the director's report on wastewater division activities. And that might be the time you could present your testimony, I think would be appropriate there.
Well,
Or
if
say
it's
it this time.
yeah, if I could do it now, I have to go to work at 10,
That
so
would
I
be
know that I'll be able to make it.
fine.
But
You just make sure nobody else, is there anybody else who wants to give public testimony? Okay, hearing none, and then at the time, an agenda item comes up, if someone would like to make or joins the meeting later and wants to make testimony, they may. It's Lindsay Moore?
Linda Williams.
No comments.
Oh, not her. Okay, who?
it was me,
My
Linda. Williams.
Consultant.
Linda Williams. Okay, I'm sorry. I saw multiple names associated with the comment, so I was confused. Okay, go ahead and take 3 minutes on, we'll call it item 7.3 on the wastewater division activity.
I did submit written testimony, and I'm not going to take 3 minutes. My concern is that the release on Friday, the 21st at 8:30 a.m. Went on. I mean, I know there was an alert that was put out, but no one saw it. And the beaches were full at Keakaha all weekend long. People were swimming in untreated, contaminated waste. And the response is completely unsatisfactory and needs to be improved. So trying to help make improvements here. We have a civil defense system that works perfectly. I get announcements every time there's a small boat advisory or if there's an earthquake. So why doesn't this board, along with the county, use the civil defense announcement system to inform the public when there is a contamination spill? 600,000 gallons is a lot of untreated water, and it was 4 days long. The mayor didn't even put out an announcement himself until Sunday, and people are reporting that they're getting sick. It's not necessary. Just like a couple things you could put. No one saw signs at Carl Smith or Richardson, so there needs to be a lot of signage. There could be a civil alert announcement, and you could also put those electrified signs at all along the beachfront. Just put a couple of those up because people deserve to know. I know it's going to take time for the new waste treatment plant to be built, and we may have more accidents. So y'all need to come up with a good plan. I don't even know who's responsible for coming up with the plan, but I know the mayor is the leadership, and I know that you guys run the waste treatment plant. So that's all I want to say, is that I'm advocating as a resident here in Hilo and a swimmer in Keakaha that you please inform us better when you have a contamination release.
There's a bar here, but it's like, see, she has a background.
Yeah.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ramsey, since you need to take off for work, I was wondering if we could perhaps have a statement from you or whoever you designate for how the process works and when there is a spill from one of our wastewater treatment plants, and who's carries that ball.
Yes, good morning, Georgia, and thank you, Linda, for your testimony. And I do appreciate the suggestions that were made. You're right, the plan is gonna take some time to get finalized and constructed. Our current standard procedures that been around is when we do have a spill, the Department of Health get notified right away once our operators discover the situation. And then our staff will talk to the Department of Health to identify strategy of the signs and the action item that need to be taken. And once that agreed on with Department of Health, our staff will go out there and take samples. In this situation, our laboratory person went there and took samples, and fortunately, the sample came negative, so we did not detect any positive samples. But we were waiting on Department of Health to do their own sampling because Department of Health, once they notified as well, they do come and take samples to ensure. So you have that check and balances. And yeah, improvement needed. We always look for improvement needed. I hear the concerns. Currently, our acting division chief, we working on emergency response organization. And Linda's correct. We had our system because we have the contact of the civil defense and we have a lot of major players, stakeholders that usually part of the process. But we should not give any excuses. I know we have turnover in staff and changes, but and we still finalizing that emergency response plan as part of the current administrative order of consent. But any positive or negative comments are well taken, and like I said, we always look forward to have improvement needed and constructive criticism as well, because that's what's going to make the system better moving forward.
Okay, thank you. We'll come back to that. I think when we come to your director's report under item 7. But one of the frustrations is that it is basically DOH, the Department of Health, State Department of Health, that determines whether there's a public health hazard and dictates what the responses are. So it's a little bit outside of our mission, but I think we need to address it as well as we can on what is the responsibility, or should be the responsibility, for our county Department of Environmental Management. So we'll go back to that. Stay tuned, read the minutes, watch the video recording of this, and we'll try and move this on, Linda. So thank you for your comments. I wanted to acknowledge that Laura Casio, I saw her briefly, or she's on the phone, I guess. No, it says we should see you, but I don't. Maybe you're, oh, there you are. Okay, I had to scroll across on my picture. So Laura Casio from District 2 is now with us. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to be faster with my mute and unmute. Were there any other commenters that wanted to speak at this time? If not, we'll come back to Alan.
I have a, it's Alan Picamizzo. I have a comment regarding the response plan of the spill. Yeah, just on, I don't know if that
Oh, just
conversation's over.
Well, I'm gonna bring the conversation back when we get to
Oh, okay, no worries.
item 7, which I think is where you were gonna comment anyway.
Yeah, I also had a comment on the spill response.
On the actual spill response.
Yes, on the
Okay.
what was just testified to.
Well,
So
Mr.
with the amount of spills,
Okay. Oh, go ahead. 3 minutes.
okay. With the spills we do have, I mean, it seems like they're, depending where they are, you know, different treatment plants, you know, the main plant, the country plants, it's usually in a generalized area where we post signage, you know, this and that. So in an emergency response plan, we should set up and not depend on Department of Health initially, if we can have a response plan set up to go beyond what Department of Health would require, you know, the areas, this and that, because I don't know if Department of Health takes into account the tidal or the flow of the waters, you know, the tides or whatever, but it's something to think about. Because I think this is covered under HAR 11-62. Also, their response. So that's it.
Muted. She's muted. I'm sorry, I'm trying to avoid you listening to me cough. We'll come back to Alan if you need to add item 7 as well. So thank you. Okay, next item is going to unfinished business. We received a revised update on the wastewater management code draft. If there were any comments that DEM would like to solicit from us, say so now, and otherwise, if the commissioners have some comments they would like to provide to DEM at this time.
I do.
Del.
Hi. Last month I mentioned that the Keaukaha residents were going to be camping at Puhi Bay. And so I was told that they were going to take a sample, their monthly sample, and give us a report before they started camping, but they're already camping. So with this huge leak, Puhi Bay is one of the first points of contact, I suppose you would say, with the water. So I only saw the signs day before yesterday, and there are little signs right up front. So
Can I go point of order on you?
Okay.
Talking about the spill and the spill response, let's wait until item 7,
okay,
and we'll come back to that if we may. This topic is on the pretreatment draft code that was distributed to everybody, the updated code.
okay.
I should say that I did send in some comments to Chris Barber. They were pretty picky, detaily stuff, so I don't think we need to go over them at our meeting here. But if anybody else had comment, I wanted to give you an opportunity, or again, Ramsey, if you guys wanted some input from EMC on any of the outstanding issues or unresolved issues.
Yes, good morning. Again, I don't know if Chris signed up to this meeting, but I know him and I sat down, went over his initial draft. Still work in progress for that report. Any comments? I still believe it's not fully there yet. So any comment that you guys could share with us to make sure that we could make it a document that everybody invested some time to look at, and I don't want it to just come out as a document from the department. You guys are stakeholders. an advisory committee as well. So anytime you review and advise, that'll go the extra mile.
Okay, thank you. Jim Weeks has his hand up.
Yeah, this is Jim Beats, District 1. Ramsey, thanks for the information. I wanted to make sure that I think I just heard there's a newer version, and I just returned from a family trip, so I want to make sure that I'm actually have the latest version. Where do I download the newest version?
Yeah, that's why I was hoping to see if Chris, we'll send it to you. We'll have Peter make sure that he shares it with you. I don't see Chris. I know he left,
I
he's
think
out
he
of
was-
state, but
He's gonna be traveling.
yeah.
It was in the email that Peter sent to us dated where? June 20th as an attachment. It is also in our online, whatever they call that, legislative, blah, blah, blah. Laserfish public document file
Yeah.
in the section.
Georgianne, it's probably easier. Jim, we'll have resend that email. That way you'll get it on the top of your email box rather than
Yeah.
going fishing for it. If you
That'd
haven't
be
started
great.
looking at it.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll send it to you.
I appreciate that. And it should be dated June 17th, although I'm sure they're updating it every day, so.
It's a living document until it gets submitted and approved.
Are there any other comments? And again, as you heard, DEM is open to receiving comments. I had sent some comments in earlier and they had addressed some of them. So they are responsive to the comments that come in from us. And again, I just want to emphasize that you guys should care, because if someone doesn't like a decision made by Ramsey or the director on what they're doing for pretreatment, we are the ones they're going to come to for a hearing on appeal. And so we need to know enough to be able to decide whether or not we want to overrule DEM.
Georgianne just got a
there.
message from Chris Sparber. I guess he needs somebody to unmute him. He is in the Zoom,
Yeah.
but you need to be unmuted.
Peter?
He left.
Chris Sparber.
He left. I'll add him when he comes in again.
Yeah, he need to be unmuted. Okay, thanks.
I think I saw Gonzalo Garcia raised his hand.
Yeah, thank you. This is Gonzalo Garcia, District 7. I guess I just had a couple questions. I kind of went through this today, this morning, and obviously it's a lot. Do you guys envision producing like a wastewater management for dummies version of this thing?
So are you thinking about 101 version of this? Yes, the whole idea, this is the ordinance and code. Eventually, we're gonna have a training. Our staff will go through training. We're gonna also meet with the communities that's gonna be impacted to kind of simplify it and go through the expectation. So I would imagine, to answer you, probably we're gonna have maybe a 101 for particular training and sharing with the public as our staff meet with the individual business owners, such as commercial and industrial users.
All right, that would be great, obviously. And then kind of another question would be, does the lab capacity exist currently for the industrial users and, the people that will fall into the program that need to, do their own sampling and analysis and submit the reports? Do we have that capacity on island for folks to actually manage it?
That is a great question. And that's during that transition period and going through the implementation, there's not enough because we only, even our division, have 2 chemists positioned. the laboratory in Hilo, we have one chemist, but we only do for our facilities. But Oahu has more than what we have here. So eventually we will work with the dischargers and trying to navigate how the process is going to go. And we're not going to start enforcing unless all of these are in place. So there's a transitional period that will work with the dischargers to make sure that they are accessible to all what they need to comply with.
I think there's in my mind, a linkage as far as lab capacity. Because I know, there's ships that are required to do ballast water testing, all kinds of different programs. And there seems to be a critical need to improve our capacity on island to do those types of analyses.
Yeah, so some people in Oahu, they'll be interested to open another branch here, to expand. So there's opportunities for these labs to move from Oahu to here as well for expansion.
Thank
If
you.
there's no work, there'll be the vendors here to deliver.
That's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? There was a comment in the chat about using citizen science just to do sampling, and this is compliance. And so you need to have certified labs generating the data that supports what kind of pretreatment you need to do. So I think it's a little different cat, and Jim brings up or Gonzalo brings up a good point, and it's an opportunity as well for getting more training available to develop technical expertise on this island. We're going to need it for the cesspool conversion projects, as well as for this pretreatment requirements. So I think there's going to be plenty of demand. We just need to figure out how to fill it. Lee McIntosh has a question.
Yeah, I was just quickly browsing through it, and I noticed Article 11 for sewer charges. It's a little confusing. It says, oh, it's talking about what? Yeah, it's kind of confusing. Is it only when it says that charges for those that aren't connected to the sewer or on a cesspool? Is that only referring to that they're supposed to be hooked up to this sewer and they're not? Or is it like you're building, you're gonna be building something in Nalehu? I live all the way down Discovery Harbor. Are we gonna start being charged because we have a cesspool and I guess eventually a septic system that there's no way in the world we can connect? Is that what it's talking about or something else?
No, Lee, what they talking about is there's a lot of businesses that outside the sewer service areas, outside any accessibility to a treatment system. For example, Puna areas, they don't have a waste treatment plant, but eventually their waste or sludge, when they pump their system, is going to make it to our facility. So we need to make sure whatever they bring in, it has to be tested, because that's going to impact our facility as it comes in. Chris, if you want to add more to it, if you're trying to chime in, I don't know if
Yeah, this is Chris Barber, acting wastewater division chief. Sorry, I'm calling in on my phone and I was muted, and so apologize. So in terms of fees, I mean, for your residential customers, the intent of the code is such that, if you're accessible to sewer, meaning at this point in time, at this point in time, you have a lateral at your property line. In the future, that definition may change, but at this point in time, if you have that capability, that lateral at your property line to connect, then yes, we have a rate that you would pay, because it's essentially right. You're provided the opportunity, but it's not being taken. But it's still there. That opportunity is still there. But also on the industrial side, you know, the way that the CFR and the way that the pretreatment law works is that if you are an industrial user and your septage or your industrial waste is being brought to a county, you know, wastewater facility, you might as well be connected to us. So with that respect, you know, our code addresses that and says that, you know, we can set up our fees in such a way that we can, you know, take that higher, you know, have because we're going to have additional regulatory requirements for that industrial waste. So it gives us a means for recuperating those funds for the expense of that. You know, because the thing about, you know, a significant industrial user that, you know, their septage is being brought, you know, or any type of their commercial waste is being brought to our facility, they might as well be a significant industrial user, you know, and we have to maintain, you know, a set of compliance documents and that kind of stuff for them. So there's additional costs to our division. And so we just needed a means to recover that. But no, if you're in nowhere near a sewer, if you're an industrial user with your own treatment plant, you're doing your own thing, you need nothing from our division, then no, you would not necessarily be directly charged for those services. So I can look at that, I can make that clearer. I've received a couple of comments on that section, and I do realize that, you know, it needs to be addressed. So we'll take care of it. And again, if you guys have any ideas or unique ideas that you've seen other places, let us know so that we can evaluate and potentially incorporate that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I think that is a place for people to focus, not only for industrial users, which I agree doesn't make any sense. You can sewer it and get it off to the county to deal with it. That'd be the best. But as a resident, just what the available to connect to the cesspool, to this county sewer system, what does that mean, really? My house is here and that sewer line is way the heck over there. Where is this service area, sewer service area, and does it include me? Should it reasonably include me? And that's what we've got to make sure is clear in these rules. If it's a particular number of feet, or if it's on a map or some way, individuals, whether they're businesses or individual homeowners, need to know whether or not they're in the accessible to a sewer connection.
I just had a quick,
you raised your hand.
yeah, a quick question on the industrial users. Do we have a lot? Because for some of the businesses, they're not near sewer. But again, I don't know how many industrial users we're talking about that has to haul their waste to the wastewater. That was it. Because then that would be not a good example for me to understand if we're just, when we identify industrial users, is to say that we must have a lot. And if we do, there must not be near sewer, or so that's why they're hauling it there. So are they addressing the businesses that are not on sewer? Because those are the ones that would be bringing it on. So I don't know.
No, they got both, Del. So the ordinances is gonna cover multiple scenarios. The scenario where businesses, commercial, industrial users are within the sewer service area that they contribute to the sewer line, but yet they still have to have a pre-treatment system prior to disposal to the collection.
Okay.
And our staff already identified the Hilo area users, They made a list of all the impacted industrial or commercial. So the idea with that type of group, because they already connected, they already get charged the monthly fees and the inspections. We are proposing pre-treatment fees to allow our compliance people to be able to go and inspect that pre-treatment system prior to the connection, or best management practices per se. Sometimes for fog, fat, oil, grease, they have to have grease interceptor, for example, right? So they have to take the grease out of the water and wastewater before it makes it to the sewer collection system. So these type of things, our staff will go and make sure it's functioning in the working conditions and what have you. The other scenario, like you said, outside the sewer area where they don't have sewer collection, but eventually their septic comes to our facility. So, and you don't want it to come contaminated with high metals, VOCs and TSS and BODs and what have you. So they either have to do the sampling prior to us receiving it, otherwise we're gonna reject it and is gonna create a chaos, right? So that's where you all come in as an advisory committee and advise us and work with us, and we're gonna work with the community as well. Should these people also be charged monthly rate fees and allow them to put also a pre-treatment, so we could, even though it's going to their septic tank, but we know that septic tank material eventually is going to come to us, right? So the idea is how we're going to work these details and the rates that they're going to be charged, etc. So these are the scenarios that we are presenting in the ordinances, and that's why we want you guys to read it. And if you think that we should or should not implement any fees to the people who are not connected, then how we gonna get them to comply? Because if they're gonna have hole in their septic tank, and if it comes to our plan, and like I said, if it's hot loads, we're gonna reject it, but now they have no place to take it. And it's gonna get more expensive. So yeah, these are the type of stuff that we would like to hear from you guys.
Thank you.
Jim Beats. Did you hear me, Jim? Go ahead, unmute.
I guess I have to unmute first. So Ramsey, quick question to you. This is Jim Beats, District 1. I believe in previous discussion, you shared that the big issue, especially with more residential and maybe small business, was the oil and grease. Is that correct? You're on mute.
So with
Yeah.
the oil and grease, sorry, Ramsey, I can take this one if you want, or if you want to.
Yeah, you could,
Take it.
I could add to it. Go ahead, and then I'll add to yours if you're, go ahead. You started.
Okay, so yeah, with respect to oil and grease, our major concerns are your food establishments, your larger industrial kitchens. There are some residential areas that have some pretty high grease and that kind of thing, but our primary focus is going to be on commercial food production, those kind of facilities. We're not requiring residential folks to install grease traps or anything like that. We're only looking at the commercial route.
Yeah, to add to that,
I
Jim,
would say
it's-
that
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's commercial industrial. and most of the commercial, they should have grease interceptors anyway. The restaurants, they should have their own grease interceptors. So just to make sure that they are in compliance of some of the challenges, maybe these small businesses, restaurants like mom and pop type of restaurants. We know the franchise restaurants probably because they have to have it because that's a franchise requirement, right? But these are small establishments, that's where we're gonna work with them. They have these under the sink type of units, grease interceptors where you could place them under the sink. You don't have to tear up your driveway and your parking lot to put a huge tank. So we'll be working with them, hopefully also on the funding of these individual grease interceptors. Maybe we could work with state agency to see even if they could assist these small businesses to be able to purchase these units and try to intercept the fog before it makes it to sewer. But this whole ordinance it did not intend to be for residential. It's only commercial and industrial users.
Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for that information. I'll just share one thing. I think this is also public education, really important for public education. And I'll give you one example. One of the residents here in Pepacao was telling me about his neighbor that had a wastewater issue. He does a lot of smoked meat, and
Yes.
I think he disturbed the whole, or that small part of that neighborhood because of backup. I don't think he was doing anything wrong. I think he just wasn't knowledgeable at the amount of grease he was really building up. And it's not a big operation either. It's a pretty small smoker, but I think it's good to make sure we're doing the public education on that.
No, you're absolutely correct. I've seen it through my life working in this business, especially when you have holidays. The cooking scale and residential goes up, and the grease and the lard, and our sewer collection crew, they used to be called like every weekend, every holidays, because the family gathering and dumping straight oil and fat into the sink. And yes, that's why I think farther down, we're gonna introduce our education specialist. She started with us, and our intent exactly what you just mentioned. Thank you, Jim, for that. Thank you.
Are there any
And
other
I
comments
also,
from the
sure,
commissioners? Or Chris, is that you?
sure, yeah. I just have one more comment. So, the big push with, right, your small, businesses that don't have existing grease traps, for those folks, the reason, if you look in the code, there's a section that identifies BMPs, right? So specific, grease and oil BMPs. And the intent was specifically for those folks, right, small businesses that don't have existing grease traps, because in a lot of these situations, right, the waste plumbing from the bathroom is combined with the plumbing for the kitchen, and I mean, it's just a nightmare to try and put in some sort of a functional grease trap. So my thought is that we would have a potential waiver, and then just request and provide education for BMPs for that situation, because per the analysis and kind of some industry research, those BMPs, if you implement, I mean, you can get 80 to 90% reduction in grease discharge to your collection system. And to me, I mean, that's great, just from the sake of changing your workflows before you even change or put in any type of equipment. And so, that's one of the reasons, and that was the thought behind those BMPs. Also, those BMPs should be implemented in your newer facilities, because maybe you could increase the duration of time between service events on your, grease interceptors. So that was the intent, was trying to, guide people and provide some education in terms of, just good practice within your restaurant kitchen. So anyway, I appreciate the comments, and that's all I have.
Dot, you had a question or comment?
Yeah, it seems like getting back to the subject of cesspools outside of the sewer system, can they be assessed prior to submittal of the effluent to the POTW, and then assess the fees that would be required for them to dispose of that there, rather than, having the individuals waste treatment plants submitting, a unprocessable effluent to you, have it assessed prior to delivery. Is that logical step there?
I think anything is logical. It's just how we're gonna build it up in the ordinances. We could do it based on solid loading, but somehow you need to test it prior to come to the facility. Otherwise, you're gonna have the truck standing at the septic receiver, and if the load is hot, we don't have the data. And some of these testing, it takes some time to get the results. So all the logistics need to work out. So our intention is to put it back on the discharger. Make sure before you bring any effluent or septic to our facility, these are what you need to comply with, and send it with the pumper truck, so they could hand it to our operators to make sure that the load coming to our facility is in compliance. So there's a different way of doing it. You could participate in the system and pay fees, and we could come and inspect you and work with you, or you could just take it up on yourself, and every time you have a load coming to us, you need to do X, Y, Z before you bring it to us.
It seems logical to do it prior to delivery.
Yeah.
And I think it would be also to our advantage to assess it ourselves rather than be dependent on the individual.
Right, and for us to do that, we have to be able to monitor their system way in advance and build a good record of that system. Otherwise, like I said, if we're gonna do it ourselves right when we receive it, some of these tests take a long time, so. That's why it's being proactive, it pays off rather than try to react once you get it.
Thank you.
Any other comments from commissioners? Okay, Linda, I see your hand up. If you could very briefly, we have a lot on our agenda.
Yeah, thank you. Just quickly, you were asking yourself about the process, and I'll tell you, as a resident in District 2 on Hoku Street, my neighbor told me that he has a cesspool and isn't connected to the county sewage. So I went to find out about my house because I bought it as is and I don't know it. So in order to find out whether you're connected to the county sewage, you have to apply for documentation, and it's such a difficult process I found. So I think like that's just something I'm putting in your hat, is to simplify the process for residents to find out whether they have cesspool or not, instead of having to file this form or whatever. I mean, at some point, I'm sure you're going to simplify that process, but it took a long time. I had to talk to the engineer. It was unnecessarily complicated, but I'm connected to the sewage. So yay. That's all. Thank you.
Good job, Linda. But just to answer your question, back in February, we had a public engagement meeting in Hilo. I don't know if you are aware and updated. Our department has been working on the cesspool conversion master plan for the entire island. So we've been having public engagement. Hopefully you could join the meetings, but you connected. That's a good thing.
My
But
neighbors aren't. So, but yeah, I didn't know about that. It's just getting information is difficult sometimes. Thank you.
I appreciate your comment, and if you can hang in there, we are going to hear about our new public information person, and she's got more things to do than she can manage. If I can, I'd like to move on to new business. Number one was dealing with the mayor's announcement that Kalapana transfer station will be open another day instead of just the one day. And whether there was any comment from the commission, maybe first starting with, how are you going to do that, Ramsey?
First, I wanted to thank every person that submitted testimony. I know the issue was very sensitive issue, and I want to thank the mayor for also making the decision to activate it. I'm working with the operations staff. We have unfunded position now. We're trying to work on how we're gonna get it funded and get it advertised and get it hired by July 17 or before. Some of the new equipment are being ordered, as you all know, and it's a year lag to be able to get the equipment. So I hear that we may get the equipment in October. So from now till October, we may end up renting the equipment to be able to subsidize that service till the new equipment gets here. And we could use some of the old equipment as a spare equipment to probably offset that additional day. So our guys are scratching their head trying to put together that plan so we could implement by July 17th.
Thank you. Are there any comments from commissioners, advice, since that's what EMC is for, on how to deal with yet another day? Lee McIntosh?
So does that mean that the bill the council is trying to pass, is that scrapped? Or are they gonna still push through that?
Well, like I said, it's your commission and my department always agreed with the intent. And it just trying the staffing issue, equipment issues, the funding is the issue. And I think always the recommendation was go through the budget amendment during the budget hearing. And we did that with Miley David for Ocean View, if you guys all recall. So there is a process, there's a vehicle. But like I said, if we need to designate the fund to be able to deliver the service, and that's where, had it went through April budget amendment, I mean, we said would be there to support it, and during the budget amendment, but unfortunately, that route was not taken and was a bill. But so the finance department worked with us, and we kind of, like I said, to get some of the funded position funded. just waiting for the new equipment so we could use the old equipment to offset that extra debt. It's the timing. And the operation study report in October. So it's all about the timing. But I think the mayor's committed, so we're gonna move forward.
Any other comments from commissioners? I have to say on behalf of the SWAC, if I may so speak, in the Integrated Solid Waste Management Plan, one, it was a recommendation, do this operation study so that you have a basis to make smart decisions. So we'll see what comes out of it. But even within the plan, I was going back and rereading part of it. We had actually recommended that the DEM consider reducing the number of days and or the number of transfer stations on this island as being an incredibly inefficient way to manage our solid waste. The fact that we've got some transfer stations open 7 days a week and others, no, another one, and others 3 days a week. There isn't a lot of logic, and that's why the operations study, I think, was critical. And if it's a case of crunch time, then reducing Pahoa, for example, the closest to Kalapana, to 6 days a week instead of 7, might be a rational move to make. The other thing that was part of a lot of the integrated solid waste management plan was considering different options, one of which would be look at where we can do curbside, preferably private company curbside, rather than county taking up curbside like Hawaii does. But there are lots and lots of options, and that's why the operations study is critical. And I wish you luck on coming up with a way to provide that additional day. And I think it may be a case of some may have to make some sacrifices. One woman's opinion. Del, did you want to make a comment?
A short one. It's like so often the solid waste projects or the solid waste needs and the wastewater needs are not as looked at as serious or as urgent, and so for reducing services regarding solid waste and wastewater, I don't think we should. Maybe can if you're gonna compromise something for something else, but I don't think we should. Because like everybody says, you're gonna find trash on the side of the road. And is that gonna be the state's responsibility? So so that's my opinion on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Del. Other comments from commissioners? Seeing none, we will move on. Number 2 is the proposed, speaking of solid waste, the Solid Waste Division Administrative Rule Amendments that you had to use the link in the agenda to go find because they aren't in the folder for today's meeting, but basically bumping up the tipping fees for hauling to county green waste and solid waste. I don't know if you wanted to say more about what's involved there, Ramsey.
No, this is standard procedure. Just we're trying to get the consumer price index added to the fees. That's about it.
And that index would be geared toward Honolulu and the state costs as opposed to some mainland cheapo creepo fee level, their inflation level, so that we have a more local realistic number. It didn't seem like huge increases to me. But EMC has responsibility to look at these proposed changes to administrative rules. So if anybody had any questions, I've got one left of my own. from just a quick reread and wondering, there's a green waste fee. If you take the green waste directly to West Hawaii landfill or to the Hilo East Side Organics, does that apply given our recent snafus with green waste hauling at transfer stations? If a resident takes their green waste directly to those sites?
We don't charge residents, only commercial. This is.
But
only-
I don't think it says that in the admin rules. Look at it and see if there's someplace it does.
I mean, I think there is some place it does because it's only refers to commercial, but I'll have Peter, we'll look into it. Yes, thank you.
That was the only thing that kind of went, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah,
You-
usually 25% of the tipping fees.
Yeah, and you as director can provide waivers, but it seems like it'd be more straightforward to say, yeah, residents can, if for whatever reason their transfer station is closed and cannot take green waste, or there's a lava flow, you will not be charged for taking your green waste. And just figure out, maybe there's a line to add that. Anybody else? We happy? Oh, Laura?
Aloha, just a really quick, just wanted to do a verbal acknowledgement that the Department of Environmental Management is having the public meeting at Gilkahele State Park, and it's on July 3rd for these proposed rule amendments, which I know is in the information, but just good to verbally acknowledge it as well, since it's a different location than normal. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Anybody else? Move on. Oh, and we have a new person who is been hired and is dealing with the fire hose of everybody's desire for communication and education of the public. And if you want to introduce her, Ramsey, and then we'll have her come directly. I have talked to Christy Swafford, and given her my fire hose until my voice gave out. So take it away, Rams.
Well, thank you so much. Where's Christy? Put the video on, Christy. So you guys get to see her.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, I'm pleased to announce that Christy Swaffa had joined my department, and definitely we've been meeting and giving her all these projects I wanted to do for the last 3.5 years, as you all know. But I'm so glad to have her on board. She comes in with a great experience in the education system. So Christy, go for it.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Christy Swafford, and my office is in the middle of this room, so it might get loud. I want to introduce myself and say I am the new information and education specialist. So at this point, it sounds kind of like a two-part role. I'm a teacher, and I'm also like a public relations officer. And my background is in teaching. I have a master's in education plus licensure for policy studies and management. I ran a school in Colorado before I came here and moved to the island about a month ago to work in environmental management here. And it's been interesting. It's been a very busy 3 weeks. And suddenly the need for education is educating, like proactive education is becoming more and more apparent to me, especially after this week's events. So I look forward to getting in front of things, making connections to the media and getting to know them, making connections within our community, getting to know the people that I'm going to help teach. I'm not an environmental scientist, which is a wonderful gift. I'm a teacher, so I can see things as a citizen too. I'm also looking for a house. They all have cesspools, and it's advertised to me that like, this is so great. We just redid the cesspool. Isn't that exciting? No. So I'm right there with a lot of you, and I hope to educate everyone on the island proactively and then be there for you when things go wrong. And if you have any questions, I'm here, and someone's already emailing me some ideas and they're right on par with what I'm working on now. So just getting to know everyone and getting to know you is wonderful timing for this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. Come on in.
Again, the integrated solid waste management plan, every chapter talked about how there needed to be public education. So it was number one on our priority list, and I'm so happy. I also remind people, although most of you weren't even with EMC at the time, we did put together a paper to DEM about what we considered our high priorities for communication. It was back in 22 or something. So it perhaps needs updating. And now I'm forgetting whether or not Peter included that as a reference or not. Oh yeah, I think it was a link. So I could say from my conversation with Christy, she is more than happy to listen to your concerns, what you think might be done, ideas, contacts she should make. So feel free to, and maybe Peter put her email in the chat so that you can pass on your ideas. But if there are any questions or comments you want to make at this meeting, go for it. Okay, I'm not seeing anybody wanting to comment. Again, if you just let me do it, it'll all be about solid waste. So you don't let me just be the only one talking to her. Thank you again, Christy, and welcome aboard. Next item on the agenda is, July 31st. Ramsey's got a meeting. I don't know if you're zooming it or whatever, on the 31st. Also comment, it's the 31st, it's not the fourth Wednesday like we usually do, because the council meeting is the fourth Wednesday. So we went to the following week. But it turns out that Ramsey's got a meeting 9 to 11 with the crew that's going to be talking about whether everything in the state needs an NPDS if it gets dribbled on the ground. He cannot miss that meeting, and we would like to hear what happens at that meeting. So the question is, it runs the same time, I believe 9 to 11 as the EMC. So question, and Peter can follow up with a doodle if you don't know right now. Do you want to hold the meeting a different day? Do you want to start it later, make it an afternoon meeting? There's even, I understand, a budget if we wanted to have a lunch so that we could meet over an extended period of time, take a break for lunch, and then meet again. I'm open, so I don't have a particular druther one way or the other. Lee.
I like the lunch idea. I'm always up for food.
I think the meeting is scheduled for Hilo. If that makes a difference to anybody.
Chair Adams.
Yes.
I'm open to changing it any of those mornings. I prefer mornings to afternoon. And the other options are fine either way, but I'm open to changing it for any of the days that week.
Okay, so you'd prefer morning. Lee wants a free lunch. Anybody else have a set?
Gonzalo. Yeah, so I would like to hear what Ramsey has to say about this topic. So I would prefer to also give him an opportunity to collect his thoughts, and if he wants to package it up for us, to delay the meeting a day or something versus having, earlier is not good. Later would be better, give him an opportunity. So I would vote for like a different morning the next day, Thursday or Friday.
Dot.
Yeah, I concur. I think it will still be fresh in our minds and fresh in his mind if we maybe did it for Thursday or Friday following.
I didn't hear that.
Definitely want to let Ramsey digest the meeting as well as he can. I figure he'll be in another state of shock for at least 24 hours, but holding the meeting on Thursday or Friday, have any outrageous? No, I can't possibly do that at this time. Otherwise, I will recommend Peter doodle it out to the commission and see whether or not we can nail Thursday or Friday morning and find a place to meet, which is another challenge for poor Peter, so that we can take advantage of that information that he's picking up. Now, I don't know, Ramsey, if you've got any comment. It's a working group, which means it's a moving target. So I don't think we necessarily have to panic right now, but we're definitely interested in it.
Yeah, that is fine. I'm okay with either option. That'll be the second meeting that we're gonna have with all counties in the state, trying to navigate NBD's requirement for a non-outfall system, such as Calicut, injection ones, etc. Stay tuned.
All right, Peter, if you can plan on sending out a doodle and see if we can do Thursday or Friday and capture everybody. All right, moving on, reports and correspondence. First item is a report, a status update, not the official report yet, of our permitted interaction group, AKA PIG, on cesspools and sanitation. And I don't know that Eric has joined, but perhaps Gonzalo, if you were nominated to present the latest and greatest of what the PIG's working on.
Georgina, Erica requested that I do
Yeah,
that.
that's good. Good. Sorry about that. Yeah, go for it, Jim.
The only request I have, could we do a bio break of at least a couple of minutes before we start?
All right. It's an appropriate topic area. Let's all take a bio break and come back in 5 minutes, please. All right, we're going to hear from Jim Beats on the status of the permitted interaction group on cesspools and sanitation. Take it away, Jim.
Thank you, Georgine. Erica is our chair or spokesperson, but she asked me to give a quick update. She was going to provide a summary. I don't know if she had time to do that, but I did not receive it. I'll just give you a quick overview of where we are. We've discussed several topics. We have quite a bit of information that we want to share at the next meeting. We've had discussions, independent discussions with Stephen Holmes, provided quite a bit of information, a lot of knowledge to us. Also, we've met with Ramsey. We have planned to schedule with the new finance director. I don't know if Erica has completed that. She should be at the next meeting though, and provide the rest of the final report. We do have several recommendations that will be forthcoming. What I would say at this point is Ramsey has emphasized certainly providing feedback on the new code changes would be greatly appreciated from all of the commissioners that are interested. So we recognize how important that is. And Ramsey informed us on many things that we weren't aware of, such as, new developments not having a required fee for connections. So I think all of those do need to be addressed within the code, and we certainly will provide that at the next meeting. So I'll just keep it quick, short and quick. So that's the end.
Okay, thank you. And I'll let Peter correct me because I usually screw up. The process for a permitted interaction group is to make a formal report. You can meet, however much you need to meet until then, but to make a formal report, hopefully at next meeting, but don't rush it if you need the more time. And then we will hear the report. It'll be part of our public record, and then we get to discuss it and vote on it, whether or not we want to adopt any of the recommendations or the report at the August meeting. Is that correct, Peter?
That sounds about correct, although if you're gonna have a meeting August 1 or 2, you gotta specify the second August meeting. If we're postponing from July 31st,
Yeah.
we're gonna have 2 meetings in August.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
As long as it's more than 6 days apart, because that's a new law passed by the state.
oh, well, we'll be 6 days apart, easy. Because it's the fourth Wednesday in August. Okay, I think we'll work. I just say, it's a slow slog. So we need to hear it and then digest it and discuss it and accept or reject at the following meeting. The next report is for me on what I'm up to with the Sustainability Summit follow-up for the Solid Waste Reduction Workshop. We are in process of setting up a follow-up meeting with the group that had come to the first meeting we held, looking like July 12th, maybe the time when we'll get together as a gang. We're still trying to get people to actually commit to working on subgroups on individual topics, one of which is the ordinance idea of banning recyclable materials from landfill and phasing that in and setting up some kind of work group, Hawai'i, to continue that under the potential sponsorship of Heather Kimball. And a smaller group of us has been investigating, along with Alex White from the recycling group, a resource recovery park. And we've been a little field trip to Kayao and said, yeah, could we turn this into a resource recovery park? What would we add? How hard would it be? So we're still gathering information about that. Again, hope to set up a bigger work group based on the people who are involved in the Sustainability Summit and see whether or not we could even go for a potential grant from EPA for a community grant to reduce material going to landfill and reduce global warming. So that's kind of working on a slow slog, and my getting COVID a month has not helped. Next, hardly last, but biggest, is the director's information report. Are you ready, Ramsey? First up would be legislative update. I think we've already heard 140 is still kind of, we'll see. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much that's the big one. But also, I want to take your probably a little bit of discussion, your time a little bit to discuss, the possibility of introducing legislation. Laura may be able to assist on this one. She has the experience. I'm trying to see if there's possibility that we could impose a county sewer district for the people that within the sewer service area, so we don't have to go through chapter 32 and trying to get everybody that lives within the community to concur that yes, I need to connect or not. To me, if we do it like what the Department of Water Supply has, you go in and you build the water system to a community and you just, the capital cost divvy up between the parcels. Because to me, that's to be able to meet the priority deadlines. If there would be a bill that maybe introduced for the 2035, 2030 conversion of priority number one, that means we only gonna have 6 years plus, but the 2050 we understand is 26 years down the road, but we doing the cesspool conversion master plan now with the idea of trying to accelerate the process, because like I said earlier, probably need to do about 2,000 plus conversion starting yesterday to be able to meet the demand for the island. So so if hopefully as we finish these studies and we engage the public, we really need to, I'm trying to plant the seed for the commissioner to start thinking of how we could take that and make it a policy through the legislative body of saying, yes, if you live in this area, it's, the sewer district will be imposed because of the amount of contaminants or the amount of homes within that certain area that requires a treatment plan versus converting to a septic. So, and to me, we need to start thinking about solutions now. I mean, we have, like I said, this is probably one of the best that will get us there and start planning the financial, start planning the roadmap. That way we don't have to get tangled into communities, each individual vote, because we're never going to get there. I mean, try to get 2 or 3 people to agree on one thing is going to be difficult. Especially when
you be talking about a county ordinance, or would this have to be at the state level?
I think maybe county level, but I'd like to hear from Laura. Is that gonna, with the state level, because it's state HAR, we need DOH to support it as well, right? So we need more discussions, and I think that it could benefit both.
I'm thinking it's a combination of both, but I guess my question directly would be, is the mayor or DEM working with any of the area legislators specifically to address it? Because we would have to look into the the HRS, but also the HAR from the department too. So, but are you folks working with it? Because now is the time actually between now and legislative session to be reaching out, contacting, and setting up the meetings, working on that legislation for the following year. There's still going to be the bills that have been presented from the cesspool working group that would likely be reintroduced. We'll be on a new year of a biennium, so everything has to be reintroduced. But I would imagine that those that have gotten pretty far, I know a lot of them in 2023 from the cesspool working group got to conference committee. So it would just be a matter of working through the reasons why those failed and working on the suggestions of prioritizing which of those would be more directly impacting the issue that you're addressing with the county.
No, that is, yeah, that is a great idea. And I think we kind of waiting on the meats and potatoes from that report, the Cisco Conversion Master Plan, to define the areas better, because there's areas going to be requiring cluster units versus areas going to be connected to the treatment plan versus areas going to be IWSs. So it's good to have that maps finalized. So as we sit down with the legislative body that is will be willing to take it on, at least they could visualize it and see the, the impact countywide. But I think we need to ask legal as well, the legal department of what is our legal obligation to do, because Chapter 32, I think now allows for that vehicle, the sewer district establishment, but now the county is going to impose the district. So how is that legally going to maneuver? So I know we have a lot ahead of us, but I just wanted to plant the seed. And also, if you have different ideas, start thinking.
I think Ramsey, Director, I would ask our area legislators to do the research specifically around, where and why some of the other legislation has failed, so that we can get a little bit more tuned into where we need to move forward.
Okay. Thank you.
Excuse me, is this a topic area being covered by the PIG?
It could.
I mean, I'm just asking a question. It would set it up, if it were part of the recommendations coming in the report from the PIG, it would set it up more formally for the commission to start officially moving on such a thing.
Actually, that's a great idea.
I'm not part of that PIG, so I consider it maybe. I certainly agree with you on the political barriers of anything getting through the state legislature, and understanding why they couldn't move. And I'm sure other counties are in the same quandary in terms of how do you make it happen. But it seems a worthy process, and I will put it on the agenda if you guys have got some meat for me. I certainly will have the report for the PIG if you're ready. But Ramsey, if you've got anything drafted or would like a more fulsome discussion, maybe we could call in Corporation Counsel to give some commentary, and see if we try to tackle it at the next meeting. Anybody else have comment? Any other commissioners have comment on Ramsey's proposal? Jim Beats.
Yeah, Georgine, we did discuss that at, I think our last meeting, of the PIG, and, I believe we were discussing that relative to, at least it'll be in the report. I don't know if it'll be a recommendation.
Okay, not forcing anything on the PIG, it's your PIG. So, do what you want to, but, let's explore how we might, deal with this for the next meeting, or 2 or 3 or 14. Any other comments, thoughts? We have somebody named Blake who would like to provide some public testimony. Could you state your name?
Yeah, my name is Blake Hornbacher. Mothership just posted some information about using tire chips in the leach fields instead of rock, for recycling tires, and using it for, instead of 2-inch stone, we'd be using 2-inch tire chips. It helps the leach field bed, like aerate better. It gets rid of tires for one, for recycling. But we're working on this project. We have some information. We have like 18 states that are certified to do it. So we're just trying to implement that here in our state. So we're just listening in and seeing what you guys have to say. But um, I don't know if you guys have any gotten information about that or know about that.
Well, Blake, if you have, anybody has done it, we've been entertaining wood chips, with sawdust and gravel. We thought of tire, material, but it get, with that, because it has chemical in it. So the idea is, I don't know if even the Department of Health would entertain the chemical constituents within the tire chips that may eventually leak through to the groundwater as part of the contacting, the effluent itself. So I'd like to know more of what you guys have done, because we did think about it ourselves from DM. And we also thinking about, we have a lot of gravel that we excavate from our landfill that also we wanted to put it to use for leach field. But yeah, get a hold of me. We could talk. I'd like to see what you guys have done, what type of impact, long-term study on these tire material being contacted with effluent, high in ammonia, and I want to see if there's any chemistry going on between, what exists in the tire versus what in the leach field, I mean, in the effluent itself, and if any of it has been monitored, has it been leaking into the groundwater, et cetera, because these are the type of question the Department of Health probably wants you to do a pilot program on.
Yeah,
to have
for
a lysimeter, so you can start taking sample. So you need to do a pilot program potentially, because it's has not. So I went through that, analysis process. But if you guys telling me you guys done it on the mainland, I'd like to see what.
Yeah, we have.
Okay, yeah, well, I'm gonna call a halt because we've got other topics we need to deal with. If you've got some information, provide it directly to DEM and
Okay.
consider it. I too have some skepticism of it. Doing that with tires. But hey, look at it. Never hurts to look at things. Next up would be the solid waste division projects and updates. And if Craig had any comments he wanted to make, I did have a question come in the chat that I will forward to you, and that was word is roaming around apparently that we're over capacity. We're getting way too much green waste at the transfer facilities and maybe even at the organic facilities, and stuff's being sent off to landfill. Is that true? And what are you doing about it?
Yes, so currently, there's no green waste going into it. That happened one day, I believe, in May. But it's not the capacity issue with the green waste. It's the capacity of the mulch going out is where we're having problems with. Because the mulch is not moving on the west side.
So with that said, let's use this platform to announce that, we've been advertising and working with HER, free mulch for the taking. As much as you want, you could drive up to the landfill. They load it for you for free. So we're trying to work with HER and the state and trying to maximize the usage and the needs on the west side for the mulch. So put the word out. And like I said, it's my understanding HER told us they gonna be loading mulch and they're not gonna charge that $5 per 3 cubic yard, I believe, for loading. So it's a good thing. So if you all, any of you need mulch, it's time to go and grab it.
Anything else, Craig, you'd like to?
Yeah, sometime in August, we're working with Hawaii Energy with their Rid of Fridge program. So in Puna, we're gonna have an event in August where you bring in your old refrigerator and then they'll get a rebate for it. So this is to take off all the energy consuming refrigerators off the grid.
Great. Jim Beats, you have a question? I'll get to you next, Dell.
Okay.
Yes, I do. I wasn't clear on the green, the mulch availability. I thought Ramsey said only at the landfill. Is that correct?
Yes, so only at the West Hawaii Organics facility.
Okay, so not on Hilo side. Okay,
No,
thanks.
no, they love the mulch on this side.
Yeah, the west side, we have a shortage of customers that wanted to, yeah, the mulch. Have approximately, great amount of mulch, and our staff have been bringing mulch to the east side as well, but it's not sustainable. We need to empty the floor. We only limited on the amount that we could bring because we only got 4 trucks, and the 4 trucks are hauling waste back and forth. So kind of, but our staff also have been using some of the money that we have to hire a third party even to bring mulch to the east side. But like I said, the amount we have exceeds the amount of trips and what have you need to make back and forth. Therefore, we are also thinking about taking more to the Kona transfer station to allow Meeble to hold more than 3 cubic yard. But any creative option that could empty the floor as soon as possible, that's what we'd like to hear.
Yeah, thanks for that, Ramsey. I know I'm hearing from residents in our area and everywhere on this side about the limited access that people have for mulch on this side of the island. So
Yeah, come the weekend, maybe you guys could do a landfill trip on the west side to pick up some mulch.
You could do a convoy. Dell.
Okay, looking at the mulch storage and distribution chart. I noticed a lot's been taken to the Kealakehi, where they're actually not required to take as much as it's been going there, and not much coming to Hilo. And so the discrepancy on the amounts is a lot. And then the distance between the mulch from Pu'anahulu to Kealakehi, it's 22 miles one way, 22 and a half. So going and coming back with that one truck is actually 45 minutes. And if they had just brought that one load back to Hilo, it's an hour, a little over an hour. So would it not make more sense to bring the mulch here where it needs to be? And the only difference with the time is 15 minutes.
I think
So
when they're hauling if they haul from Wehoff to Ehoff, it adds anywhere about up to 45 minutes when they load the trucks. So that if the first truck starts hauling, that pushes the amount of trash that they can take back towards the end of the day. So it pushes back the trash side of it. That's the problem that they're facing.
Oh, okay. So when they load it up, though, to take it to Kealakehi, they're spending twice as much time. Well, to load it up and take it there when they can load it up and bring it to Hilo? Wouldn't that be the same amount of time used to load it up? So my thing is,
operation. They'll different truck size and different operation. The west side, they use the west side trucks that at the transfer station. Saddle Road Highway requires our big trailers because we move in the waste from Hilo to the landfill. So what we're doing is we're trying to fill these big trailer, which is totally different equipment than the one we use on the north side, to come back with a load of mulch. And because we have 4 trucks, 4 trailers, and we have about 200, 300 tons per day on the Hilo reloads. Our guys work 4 10s, 4 days, 10 hours a day. And given the amount of travel, given the amount to download the garbage into the working phase, and a drive to the Wehoff to get the trailer loaded, they've done it. And we've been losing an hour that takes away from doing our obligated duties of emptying the current reload facility, the Hilo, because under the current permit, we cannot have waste at the floor every day. So we have to empty the floor at the reload facility, otherwise you'll be in non-compliance. If you remember about a year ago, that facility caught on fire because there was extra waste at the floor that we couldn't haul to the west side because spontaneous combustion. So our staff doing their due diligence to meet with compliance requirement, to meet with permit requirements, to utilize whatever equipment we have to navigate. And in addition, hopefully they are continuing to work with HER to participate in that as well. Since, like I said, that contract, it cost the county about $5.5 million a year. So it's a teamwork effort. So, like I said, the different equipment, different functions.
okay, so thank you for all of that. So when the contract was initiated back when it was to take the trash to Pu'anahulu and bring back the mulch. That's part of the contract, is it not?
No,
No.
No?
Go ahead, Chris.
not to the east side.
What was that?
Oh, yeah, we're not, by contract, we're not obligated to bring mulch to the east side. It's just to Kealakekee.
I thought there were like Kealakekee, you had 300 tons that go there every month. But what I'm looking at too, not only that, so you're saying there's only so many trucks that are used, but those trucks are being used to take the mulch to Kealakekee. The same trucks you say that, you have 2 separate types of trucks. One that comes to Hilo with the trash or goes from Hilo with the trash, and the ones that drive to Kealakekee.
Yes, so I think those trucks take about 20 minutes to load, so half the time.
So I'm just saying, if it was already in the contract to enter with HER to do what they're doing, we're not holding up to our part of the contract by bringing back the mulch. So there's so much more mulch at the West Hawai'i. So that presented the problem with the excess mulch. And then it became excess green waste. And then here comes.
No, I think this is a contractual issue with the county. Our staff believe it's not part of the contract. I don't know where you reading it is part of the contract.
Well, my concern is with the HER
Where
agreement.
do you read in the contract is part of our contract to haul it?
The HER contract. So I'm saying with the HER.
That's what I'm saying. We said it's not part of HER contract.
So you're not required, the county is not required to bring back mulch to Hilo.
No.
Not at all?
There's certain requirements they have to go through, but we're not required. We're supposed to require to hold to the Kealakekee transfer station 300 every day or 3 days a week. I cannot remember exactly, but our contract does not require us to haul mulch daily to the Hilo. No.
I'm
If
not
you
saying
read in it
daily.
somewhere, If you think it's in the contract, point it out to us, but we're not gonna get into contractual obligation with
Okay, so
HR and you.
I understand that because I
Okay.
get this every time. But my thing is, for the trips that you're already taking with trash to Kona, you're not bringing back the mulch as often as you could. And I'm not saying bring it back every trip, but it looks like there's such a disparity between all the different months, what comes back. And with the contract, you know, when you're saying you're paying $5 million a month, Waste Management gets paid more than that, but nobody talks about them. So all I'm concerned about is bringing back
Two
mulch.
different
And maybe
functions.
if we don't have enough equipment, we can look at truck companies that are maybe looking to buy new equipment that the county can actually buy their older equipment because it would be to code and it would be in compliance. So couldn't we look at buying from trucking companies here that's looking to get a new inventory rather than waiting for new equipment that's been ordered? Because that'll take years, like you say. I'm just looking at this and saying that, you know, this is why I'm saying what I'm saying. It's always been a problem with this contract because mulch is not coming back. There's an excess of mulch, then it becomes a fire hazard, and then that's it.
Okay, just to, for the record, it's not the count, once the green waste goes to HER processing and grinding,
Right.
it becomes their mulch. It's
Right.
not the county's mulch. It become their property.
But it was an agreement, was it not? That the county would take this mulch and provide it to the community in
The
both
county,
areas.
not the county, the community will go pick it up from their facility. And that's why you guys stand up in line on the east side at 5 in the morning to pick it up.
And they don't have it. They could give more mulch out if there were more mulch to give.
Exactly, it's theirs. They could distribute it as much as they like. They could go pick it up and bring it to your house.
So if
So
the
all I'm
process
saying is I'm not gonna get into the
okay,
contract.
no, I bring this
All
up
I'm
every
saying
time.
is we have extra mulch. We try to work with everyone. It's a free mulch, so if you guys want to pick up mulch, the county's doing their due diligence to go beyond the contractual agreement and help HER currently.
So can't the county charge for the green waste that people pick up?
We
They can
can't.
make some revenue there.
It's not in our contract. It's HER property. The mulch is their mulch, not ours. We cannot charge for it.
Okay. Well, I'm just looking at the report and there's a lot of questions in the report.
I guess trying to figure out how to move this. It sounds like there needs to be a sit-down meeting with DEM and UDEL, and if any other members of the commission would like to go, we can have one with no problem. If any more want to get involved, we could set up a new PIG. But to work out all these details and try to understand what can and cannot be done and what the situation with HER doing in
My
this
recommendation
back and forth is not.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that would be good, Judging. Thank you very much.
Yeah, my recommendation, you guys sit down with Craig, read the contract, please. Don't make announcement that it is in the contract without really understanding what's in the contract, because to me, that's very important because, you know, we need to understand the obligation. So sit down with our staff and go over it. They meet with HER bi-weekly, I believe.
Okay, that would be good. I'd be open to that.
I think that would be great, and you can come back to us with what you've discovered and maybe make some proposals to EMC.
Sounds good.
Okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, I see Lee's hand up.
I just wanted to point out Waihine has tons of room. You could bring mulch down here and store it. I know the people here like to use it as well.
Thank you.
To you, Craig, on whether or not there's more you want to say. And
No.
also the solid waste operation study is still expected to be done in October. Maybe we'll get some sneak peeks in August. But as I understand it, that's moving right along. Anything else to communicate, guys, on solid waste?
Yes, this is Shalice.
Yes.
Can you hear me okay? Okay. That is correct. The first draft of the report is still scheduled for August 2024. The consultant was out again in June, completing their interviews with more of the recycling companies as well as our staff, with the chief and deputy chief. So just wanted to communicate that we are still hearing from me2 that the first draft will be submitted August 24th.
Great. Cannot wait. No, I heard I'm muting off and on so I can cough offline. Anything else, Craig? Don't mean to chop you off.
This is Christy. I just wanted to mention something in the chat. Alan said the issue with the mulch is people are afraid of getting fire ants with it. In the community, I talked to someone in Hilo about the mulch, and that's exactly what they said. Can someone share the possibility of getting fire ants in the mulch?
Yes, so the process that they go through is that what they call it, the PRFP. But then what they do is they raise the temperature of the mulch up to 131 degrees, and that basically kills all kills whatever. And
Yeah,
then,
the Hilo mulch goes through enhancement process, where they enhance the mulch by allowing it to stay in a windrows, and they tilt that windrow to make sure that invasive species dies, just like the fire ants and what have you. It's different process than what they do on the west side. The west side, they don't follow the enhanced mulch because we don't have these invasive, the corky frogs and the fire ants on the west side as we do here. So the east side, EHOF, it's totally different process than the west side.
Okay.
Plus, we have the CRB now as a concern too, but yeah, it's complicated because the CRB also adds more complication as we coordinate with everybody else's in the process. But it'll be good for Dell to sit down with Craig and figure out the challenges. That way, at least you all know about the challenges. I think it's a great idea.
Well, not only with Greg, but whoever makes decisions.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to water.
Chair, I had a quick question about CRB,
I'm sorry.
if it's okay to ask that at the moment.
Yeah. Go ahead. I only get so many people on the top of my screen, so I didn't see you.
No problem. Yeah, so my question was going to be about CRB, but Director Ramsey brought that up. What are our protocols at the moment? Because CRB is probably one of the biggest emergencies that we've seen for local agriculture.
Yeah, I'll have Greg talk about it. I know we've been involved with the agriculture department here in Hawaii and DOH and HER. So Greg, go ahead and share with us what you guys doing now and the strategy.
yes, so they're following similar to Hilo, where they're raising making sure the temperature is up to 131 degrees, and then maintaining about 115, which is where the beetles and the larvae, dies. But to ensure that it's dead, it's 131. So they always bring it up to that temperature.
And that is the reason, Dell and Laura, we have the additional stockpile, because now the process has changed. Because now you have to let it sit for more days on the same property to allow for that temperature to reach the 130 degree Fahrenheit. So now you have to lengthen the process to make sure you get rid of the CRBs. So you have to manage it, control it, then distribute it. Prior to the
So,
TRB, it was just mulch it, grind it, and just distribute.
so that's what happens at the west side?
Yeah, now because of the CRB, that's what's.
So, my understanding is there's a 3-acre lot next door. So because there's so much abundance or excess of mulch at the West Hawaii Organic Facility, they're moving that mulch to that 3-acre lot. And there's a
Right,
condition for that lot, to use that lot. So I'm just saying, for some of the things I've been made aware of, I am questioning some of the decisions that are being made with the mulch.
Yeah, that 3-acre lot was approved by DOH way back then for surplus only. But our staff currently, HER aware, and they were told that they could use the 3-acre site.
They couldn't use it?
They could.
But they would
always,
need,
yeah.
but wouldn't they need DOH approval to use it before they use it?
That's why the communication is going with our staff. Yes.
Okay.
DOH is aware of the situation. I personally talked to them last week. So they're aware. They've been working with our staff. They've been working with HER to remedy the situation with the CRB and the mulch situation we have now due to the CRB.
Okay. Yeah, so I would love to chat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good,
you're
you
welcome.
guys have your meeting. Anybody else have comment? Jim Beats, see your hand up.
Yes, thanks, Georgine. Jim Beats, District 1. And this is, info for Craig. Yeah, I appreciate the retention process that you do and really trying to get the temperature up. I know it's a very imperfect process because I've been getting mulch from from Hilo for years, and I always test the mulch, using the little fire ant, testing procedures, peanut butter on a stick. And I still get fire ants. I think I've gotten them 2 times in the last 4 years plus. And I understand it's an imperfect process. So this is actually information for Christy, and it's still holding it when you pick it up if you want to avoid little fire ants, to ensure you do. So I always hold my mulch another month, and tarp it to get it up to temperature, just to ensure that everything in there's dead. But thanks for the efforts. And I do know that it's imperfect and it happens. So it's being diligent.
Thank you. All right, I'm gonna drag us to water, whether we want to or not. All right, I promised Alan chance to comment on, again, the release, recent release from Hilo. And if there are other items around wastewater you wanted to comment on, Alan, you've got 3 minutes. Are you still on?
Okay. Yes, I'm still here. So I know this was asked several months ago, the question of saltwater intrusion in Kilkaha. And I know the question was directed to Ramsey, and I don't know if he was uninformed of it, but I know I met with the mayor on September 11th to discuss this issue, and with Chris Farber on February 23rd. So right now we have saltwater infiltration on the mains coming into the pool pump station in Kilkaha. And this is dependent on high tide. So this past week, just this week, but it's been going on for months. Every time we have a high tide, we have operators being called out to alarms because we have a second pump run and they have to man the station. So I understand this is going to come under AOC compliance, but something needs to be done because with infiltration, you also have exfiltration dependent on tide too. So, I mean, this is a big issue, because if we're to get the perfect storm, high tide rains, storms or whatever, the pump station cannot keep up, and you'll discharge raw sewage out of outflow into, into the ocean. So, I mean, I like to bring that up. And also, the other issue too with this spill is a lot of this stuff, could be avoided. The main issue we have is operators there too, and also I should announce myself as an operator and a member of the public, and I represent the guys of the Gila treatment plant as a union steward. We have issues with no standard operating procedures. So everything we do is based upon knowledge. And I've asked them for written procedures, standard operating procedures, even down to lockout tagout, which we don't have. So with this, you have the perfect chance, or you have another, chance of having a spill, be it partially treated water or direct wastewater, untreated wastewater going into the bay. So, I mean, something has to be done. I mean, with the infiltration issues, it's an easy way to track it. You plug manholes, you can track it, you put flow meters in there, but something has to be done, because the amount of manpower being spent on this issue is ridiculous. I mean, in my opinion, an audit should be done on how much manpower is spent on call outs because of this issue. So that's just my 2 cents on this.
Thank you, Alan, for your comments, and I'm sure there were notes being taken by DEM. And
yeah, I mean, at this point, I feel like I need to go on record here, because nothing's being done about it.
Well, my understanding, and it's on the agenda a tad later, all things are going to be covered in the integrated wastewater management plan, including SOPs and maintenance and operation and asset maintenance and just understanding what's happening at our facilities. And let's hear an update from DEM on that, please.
Yeah, let's see, does Chris or Kelly, just for the people that don't know, just Alan is also, first, thank you, Alan, for bringing these to our attention and being part of our team. Alan is one of the Gila wastewater treatment plant operator as well. So he's part of the team. And I encourage you, Alan, you bring as always, you bring a good point. And I think try to work with the supervisor, or maybe we need to create a task force within the division, so you could maybe start drafting what you feel need to be done, and then share it with the management and us, and we'll give you all the support you need. And I think because you are the division employee, and I think it makes sense when you have great ideas to start working on them, and let's bring them to fruition. With that said, Chris or Kelly, if you guys wanted to start the updates on the wastewater. Is Chris still online? Is he muted or unmuted?
Should speak.
We can't hear him.
Can everybody hear me?
Could you speak louder? It's still you.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, that's better now, I think.
Okay, so this is Chris, acting wastewater division chief. So as far as the Hilo I&I issues, I mean, Alan is correct. There is definitely I&I. Currently, we're working to do an analysis in terms of quantifying that. At this point, with the integrated wastewater master plan or management plan, at this point it would be a desktop analysis to basically approximate the I&I based on the number of connections and relatively industry accepted standards for wastewater generation. And then from there, my current instruction with our sewer collection system maintenance group is to track down the visual sources that they can see within the Hilo collection system area. We're going to get them out there during a high tide event and use that industry or that knowledge they have. And then we're currently grouting, and so that's what we're doing immediately to address those situations. Long term, we are in the process of prioritizing a approach, putting together projects for a prioritized approach to this. I&I is a big issue. I'm actually, if you look at the draft NPDES permit for Lahaina, there's actually an I&I program within that NPDES permit for that wastewater facility. And so, albeit it's for sewer laterals, it's still a very, very big issue. And for now, for us, it's a big issue in terms, like Alan said, with operations and maintenance costs, as well as, really stretching the operations staff thin. So anyway, I just want to respond directly to that on record. We're not ignoring it. We are addressing it. However, it's going to take us a bit of time to really ensure that we have everything quantified and our approach is clear. So anyway, hope this addresses the concern.
Chair Adams.
Sorry, yeah, Laura.
Hi, I just wanted to raise the issue too, because I did bring this up 2 meetings ago and it was very clearly stated that there was no issue or that DEM was not aware of this. And as far as integrated plan, it definitely makes sense to address it, but it seems as if because high tides, and especially during the summer, higher tides happen very often, we have a really clear issue when it comes to personnel, safety issues, overworking. This is something that was reported to us, or myself, I should say, from multiple folks, and this is just as I'm door knocking. So in terms of staff burnout and perhaps really larger HR issues as well, but also the concern that, again, when where there is potential for intrusion or actual intrusion, there's also a lot of actual and potential for extrusion, like was stated. And so we have, again, public health concerns if we're talking about raw sewage, not even partially treated sewage. We have an incident that just happened. We addressed it earlier around the partially treated release over the weekend, and yet this is a next level emergency. So while I think it is important to address it in that larger term integrated plan, it also needs to be raised on multiple levels, the concerns around immediate and emergency safety issues for community as well as for our workers.
I think,
and I would like clarity from DEM around the fact that I did bring it up 2 months ago and it was dismissed as not something that was that DEM was aware of.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. I don't think anybody dismissed anything. I don't know who dismissed it, but we always pay attention. But I think you bring in a good point that Dell just brought. Maybe you guys need you and Alan and some of our staff maybe create a little group and do what we're gonna do with Dell and HER. I think maybe that process may come to be a good process for commissioner to get involved with, decision making and process. Because to me, we here to make sure that we implement what we need to implement. I don't think anybody dismisses anything, so I don't know where that.
No, I actually can.
if we all know there's I, it's
Okay.
the code,
Um,
number one, the code, we cannot act as private property because of the cleanup. That issue with the cleanup, like Chris was saying, it's legal because we cannot come to your backyard and trying to figure out what's going on with your cleanup, right? So
Right, no.
we have to go through some of the code amendment is gonna enforce some way where we could start accessing individual cleanout and make sure they have a cap on the cleanout to prevent rainwater from getting into that way. And you have the salt water through also maybe bad seal into the joints, what Alan was talking about. My recommendation is maybe what Dell has stated on the HER. I mean, Laura, if you have certain issues and if you feel that the staff not moving on it, or you may misunderstood the plan, interact with them, and I think that way you get the level of comfort that you need.
I would
Okay,
like,
actually,
I would like, sorry, Laura. Sorry, Laura. I would like to be with her talking to Alan too, because Kilkaha, yeah, Kilkaha is my district. And so
No,
the
I'm all for
wastewater
it,
is a
guys.
problem.
I'm all
Oh, good.
for it. Anytime we come up with a solution, I'm all for it.
okay. Actually, I do have comment again. I'm going to push back against that because Director Ramsey, I will pull up the actual recording and reshare it with you as to timestamp so that because I specifically asked about this question and it was responded that there was that it was you were not aware of it. And the part about it is because I had already talked with community members and staff. However, moving forward, I think, yes, it's a great idea to do a pig on these things, but being that we're a volunteer board and this is actually in the purview of the director in terms of, and the county along with the state, especially in state waters, if we are having active releases because of high tides, because of intrusion, because of pump burnout, et cetera, there's multiple levels that need to be addressed from the county, and I believe that would be more in the purview of your position. And so, yes, it's wonderful that we are a community commission that will address this as well. But in terms of the immediacy of the need, like I said, for safety reasons for our staff, for safety issues for our community that is currently using the waters as we speak, and in terms of monitoring those high tide events and what the protocols are in place on the county level, whether it's civil defense or to be communicating with the mayor directly. My understanding is that this has been brought to the attention of the county multiple ways, and the response has been very minimal. Again, I could be wrong in terms of that, but I'm just putting that is what community members are telling commission members, which is why I brought it up. Thank you, and I do apologize. I have to leave. I will watch the recording and follow up with notes as well as communication directly to you, Director, moving forward. But I do actually have to jump off for another meeting. I apologize.
No, that's fine. I look forward to you guys to get together with our staff. It seems like if you guys don't disagree with what the staff and the consultants are doing, and you guys want to participate, that's probably the best way to do it. So Dell and Laura, yeah, that'll be good for you guys to
Oh, good.
participate.
I would like that. Thank you.
I think it'd be useful as well. You guys go ahead and meet, but I will put on the agenda for next time that we'd like to get a report specifically from DEM on what's being done around I Hilo side. Okay.
And sorry, just for clarification, Georgine, that would be by next meeting, correct?
Correct.
Or
the
when,
end
when do you guys
of July.
want that? Okay, end of July. Okay.
I'll write it up pretty, run it by
Yeah,
Laura
I think that's,
and make sure I got the wording right.
yeah,
But let's get
Yeah,
it
that's more
as
than
a
fair. We
specific
can share.
request from EMC. Okay? Are you gone, Laura?
Sounds good.
Okay. She's gone. All right. So were there other comments about the status of the AOC activities? And speaking of the Hilo wastewater treatment upgrades, the items that are listed under the wastewater division projects and updates.
The Hilo waste treatment plant upgrade, as you all know, the project is out on the street for the construction document is out. We anticipate, hopefully multiple contractors will be able to bid this project. It's one of the largest projects that the county have taken for decades. This is a huge project. But, you know, we've been fortunate. We were able to push it out and it's out on the street. So we anticipate that probably bid opening sometimes in September. So we'll keep our finger crossed and hopefully we get multiple contractors interested in this project. As far as Pahala and LA, Pahala sewer collection project, I don't know if Mark Grant on this call, but the Pahala sewer collection project is also Chris, is that you or Mark?
Yeah, it's me. So Mark's on the call, but I can take it. So the Valhalla collection system project phase 1 and 2 combined is bidding. And then I think we're in the process of working through our addendum to answer some RFI questions and submit a few revisions. But yeah, it's underway. So.
So the countywide AOC, Rich, you want to talk about the timelines of the things that are going to be due?
Yeah. So the countywide AOC is underway for sure. So coming up on our submittals was our progress schedules for our critical capital improvement projects. We're submitting revised emergency response plans as well as an asset management implementation plan. Later this year we have connection compliance program that we're going to be implementing, and we need to submit our SOPs for those. And then also September was our deadline for the Hilo rehabilitation project. So we've actually, gotten that. According to the countywide AOC, we've been early on that. So those are just a few of the deadlines this calendar year that we're really working to meet or have met.
And the Hilo also was part of the countywide AOC as well. And this is way ahead of schedule. And as you all know, the countywide AOC got a deadline of 2035, but based on the scheduling and the milestone that we have done and negotiated, we feel comfortable. There's certain milestones that they are due, like Chris was saying, but they're working, given the amount of staff that we have and the shortage of staff that we have and the hard to recruit staff. I just want to give kudos to all of our staff here in the department. Really, the teamwork spirit, and everyone jump in trying to get the project done from operation to maintenance to even, compliance. So it's amazing the amount of stuff that this department was able to put out. Hilo by itself, $260 million project. It took us less than a year to put it out. That's a huge, Pahala Sewer collection, because we don't want to lose the grant funding. So we pushed and it went out to make sure that, we could award the contract to be able to get the grant money. So, I mean, there's a lot of movement, but once again, staffing has always been a challenge. It's just hard to recruit. But yeah, so as far as the integrated wastewater management plan, and Pu'uko South Kohala Regional Wastewater Plan, Kelly, are you there? Maybe she could share with us.
I don't think Kelly's in the meeting currently. She had, I think she had other, I think she had some time off today. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so the integrated waste management plan, we've been meeting with a consultant. As you all know, we had the first public engagement way back in February. So the work is going to continue till we start defining, the cesspool conversion master plan, the fact planning within the integrated waste management plan, and also revising the O&M manuals. Pu'uko and South Kohala, that was finalized. I believe right now it's out being final. So ACOM, our consultant, has finalized it. Once again, Kelly was able to manage it with a consultant and put it out and finalize this project. Status of existing staff vacancies and recent hires.
Before you go there, Ramsey, can I ask the question of whether the integrated wastewater plan has a chunk of it assigned to how you're going to fund everything?
Yeah, there's going to be a funding, financial section within the plan. We're not going to be able to, it's going to be general in nature because it depends if we impose the sewer district versus, individual financing their own IWS. So versus the state committing to give money out to the people as well. So there's a lot of issues pertaining to finance, and it depends on legislation as well, if the state willing to assist in financing cesspool conversion as part of this integrated waste management plan.
Once upon a time, and I think it was back in 2021, EMC sent a request to the council asking for a contract to be able to hire a consultant to do an economic, funding analysis, including the idea of enterprise fund, but also other ways to get money. And I'm wondering, do we need to go back and renew that, because that's not really covered enough in the integrated wastewater management master plans?
I think my recommendation would be I think our consultant try to cover as much as they can, but maybe as you guys be part of the participation of this creation of this integrated waste management plan, is maybe review that section and also just beef it up.
Yeah. Okay. I'll keep holding my breath.
Yeah, because eventually that document is going to be our, we're going to extract policies and procedures from it. And if we could beef it up as much as we wanted to, this is the time to do it.
Okay, well, definitely I'll be looking at are we covering enough, or do we need some additional analysis for how we're going to not just fund immediate issues, but maintain, have a sustainable funding program associated with our wastewater management. So you hired some people. We heard from Christy, so that was great. So we're now on to item 4.1.
Yeah, so you guys heard from Christy, which is, thank you, Christy, for joining my department. And we have DAF coordinator and civil engineer for Ray that came in and is gonna try to assist Chris and the wastewater division. So he has engineering background, which it helped. So he was assigned major projects. So hopefully he'll take it and run with it and start, catching up with the stuff that we all been having and trying to juggle. Just giving Chris and Mark, and they're doing a great job. Other vacancies, as you guys know, you heard me last county council meeting, I have 86 vacancies. Currently, we have no HR. We have one accountant that doing solid waste and wastewater. We got one contract person. I'm trying to, I mentioned it before. It seemed like our department was built like a division when it came out of Department of Public Work, but now, we fought hard over the last 3 years to get vacancies, positions, and now is the challenge. Now is the recruitment aspect of filling out the position. So we fought hard to expand and have redundancy and have the right people, and unfortunately, it's just is the recruitment, the lack of even having people within our HR here to do the paperwork, to reallocate position or what have you. And that's what's been the challenge. I intended to meet with the mayor and Department of Human Resource, and I know they short-staffed themselves. I requested assistance from the Department of Human Resource. I was told they short-staff. We need to find a solution. I don't know how, but I need to meet with them because I got Gila Waste treatment plant starting up with $260 million. I have no staff to start doing the inspection and trying to manage the project in the field. It worries me every night, but it's a matter of just if you guys have solutions, trying to be able to improve recruitment, but definitely it's on the top of my priority. I just sent that email yesterday, and hopefully today when I see the mayor in summer, I need to figure out some way outside the box solution just to get us people.
Definitely agree. I don't have the solution. I'm too long retired to know anybody to send to you. And good luck. I've read a couple of things that just made me really nervous that, the state, when they're short of money, they just look at, well, there've been all these vacancies forever, so they must not need the staff. You've got to fight that every second. You are killing your people in having them work multiple jobs and letting things that really are priorities have to slide because you just don't have the staff. And Dell's got the answer. She's got some high school.
No,
She's going to bring it for you. Go
I
ahead.
brought it up before, but so sometimes it's before we're looking outside to get the help that I think is still there. We got to look at the inside, what they're doing. Because when we looked at the figures last month with the vacancies, and they were 41%. So I'm thinking, with the people that you do have, what is your absentee rate? How are you dealing with chronic absenteeism? What are we doing with extended leaves? Or anybody on workers' comp? So it's bad enough that we have very little people working, but then of the ones we have working, they're out for something. So maybe that's more of an internal thing that we need to look at so we can strengthen who we have. Cross training, we've talked about that before, you know, moving people up so the ones on the bottom can start moving up, giving them training. You know, we don't have CDL drivers. Maybe the company or the county can pay for that. It's not going to be as much as a consultant's fee. So I'm just saying it's not all the answers, but some things within the department, and not just this one, that is being ignored. Because I've come from that where, you know, if you address the absenteeism, the chronic problems you have there, then you will probably have things look better. Because people that are there every day are getting disgusted because they're there every day doing what they need to do in addition to other stuff, while these other employees are just taking off on a Monday, taking off after a holiday. So I think that goal is a problem. If you correct that, then maybe it'll be easier to work with who you have, and they will tend to do more willingly than begrudgingly. Does that make sense?
No, you hit it right on, Dill. That's exactly how would you approach you know, the staff resource allocation. Is you need to look at you know, like you said, sick leave, worker comp, vacation time, sick leave, and figure out, yes, and figure out. I created a spreadsheet. I shared it with my prior division chief. It tells you, you know, when I see you in person, I'll be more than happy to share it with you. Actually, it takes the hours of current staff plus the new staff, because current staff, you know, vested in time and what have you, and because sometimes they may end up taking more time off as a COT versus, you know, sick leave and vacation. So by the time you take that in consideration, there's only certain hour per year per person, right? And you take the hours of the work that they need to do, and if it's 4 times the hours that they have on the book, so you know you need 4 times of the resource to finish. So I did all the analysis, and it just, and sometimes, like I said, certain things requires human resource issues. We cannot talk about it. As you know, you worked in the government, and it has to go its own route. It's beyond your control and my control and the administration control. It's civil service control. So, and you have to go through the process, and that's the reason we try to fill these vacancies based on position that we have in the budget, but it's hard to fill. And the current staff we have, they're really doing a great job. They're working their hearts out. But like you said, there's a time where everybody's going to be burnt out, and we don't want to get to that point. But in the meantime, it just, yeah, I mean, everything you had mentioned is already being considered, inserted in that reallocation resource forms that we created, and trying to compare actual hour of work versus actual hours designated and delegated to each staff member based on, you know, the job they assign.
So I understand you have 10 minutes or less now, before you've got to take off and go harangue on the mayor.
That's if you're gonna give me
So-
5 minutes to drive, so I need at least 15 minutes, so you only got 5.
Okay, well, if you want to disappear, I think the other questions that are on here can be answered by your staff. So the questions from the commissioner, I don't know that you guys have had chance to look at the report that was done by City Council of Hawaii on source reduction workshop. we included it last time and then again this time, where they had several pigs that went and looked at reduction. And I was just curious whether or not you guys have had a chance to work through that and see what you can steal or support. And likewise, I would ask that the commissioners look at that report and the recommendations that they've got around major waste going to our landfill. The Sustainability Summit group will definitely be looking at what works for that. It's Honolulu, so it's different than us, but there are pieces of it that I think are worth.
Yeah, I'll sit down with Mike Kaha and his, see, because, yeah, this would be a good topic for him to also forward to the consultants doing the current operational study. And I think our project coordinator for that site should be able to review and comment as well.
Good, good.
As
In fact,
she-
I think I sent it to Shalice.
Oh,
Who
you
knows
did?
what I've done.
Okay, so she has it.
I
and she
think
has
so.
it,
Ask her.
Hopefully she reviewed it, and I'll ask Mike to see if he could. I don't know if she's still on. Maybe she could give us update if she reviewed it. Is she still on? Shalice?
I don't see her, but that doesn't mean much. Don't worry about it next time.
Okay, because if you have given it to her, I hope she had reviewed it and have the
Okay.
recommendation and shared it with Mike and the consultant, but yeah.
That's fine. There were a couple questions from Lee McIntosh that I put on the agenda. Can green waste metal appliances be accepted at the same hours transfer station is open?
You cannot take anything at 6 o'clock because we have security, and the security there, he cannot help you guys till the Swiffer shows up on site. And after 4 o'clock, you cannot do it because the security from 4 to 6, but I think from 8 to 4, if your site at the transfer station takes metal appliances, yes, between 8 to 4, if the site set up to take it. But between 6 and 8 and 4 and 6, it's a security, and we cannot have the security function as the Swiffer. It just, we can't, because
Does that answer your question, Lee?
It answers why it's like that. I was just wondering if there was a way to fix it so that we could do it, because at least as you get closer to the afternoon, because I've seen people show up with a truck full of metal to throw away and they can't. They have to go back, or it gets dumped in the regular dumpster. So I was just wondering if it could somehow be fixed.
well, we, at one point, we had the security doing it, but we were challenged that they cannot do it, and therefore we changed because we cannot allow them to do county employees' work.
Yeah, I think in the past I heard some grumbling from one of them too.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but we have to, I mean, we still have to abide to the Kona decision, and they dare just to man the gate. They cannot take on public servants' duties.
Well, and that may be something for Christy to look at in terms of, we need to communicate that to people so they know.
Right.
And don't just make the assumption, well, it's open, why can't I dump this stuff? Your second question, Lee, was on auto parts not being accepted as scrap metal.
That question probably, if Greg's still there.
Yeah, I believe it's because of the contaminants that could go in. like the motor oil, antifreeze.
Then why would you be able to accept mower parts? It's just a smaller version of a vehicle.
Yeah, let's talk to business. Is that Greg
That'd be
is
scrap
scrap metal?
metal.
Yeah, let's look into it. I see your point. It's part of the vehicle that maybe the handling. It's our agreement with business, with scrap metal contractors. So we need to figure out from them, because if the current contract doesn't allow us to take it and give it to him, so yeah, let's figure out, because to me, if it could be recycled, it's still a piece of metal, right? But,
Yeah.
but maybe they may handle it differently. I don't know. Let's look into the contract.
I can chime in there with one little bit. It's in the I believe it's in the rules, and in a conversation I had with Gene, I believe that was in the rule update that we're about to go through. There was an attempt to clarify that language, but I think it was shot down. So I think from my understanding of the situation, that's kind of the one of the major hurdles there too.
So Alex, are you saying we should be able to take it or no?
I believe the rules that we have state that it explicitly state that we're not allowed to take it.
So we need to change the rule and then have the contractors shop all of it, right?
Yeah, we can look into that a little bit more, but I believe it was brought up, but it wasn't included in the updated rule package.
Lee, that's a good question. Thank you for bringing it. I mean, that's great. Go ahead, Bill.
I have a question. I don't know if it's a good one, but I heard that the county has this new vehicle program, the derelict vehicles. They're now charging $20 per vehicle. Is there some program that the county's implementing for vehicle pickups?
$20 program.
Something like $20, but the county is, I guess they have a program where they'll come and pick up your vehicle for $20.
I don't think we have a program now. It was implemented through Council Member Kleinfelder, where we could go to private property and pick up 2 vehicles a year, but we don't charge.
And then maybe we should charge.
Well,
all these services that cost money, we're renting and then we're doing it for free.
Can you lobby for us for that? I'd love to join forces.
Well, I don't know. I just heard somebody just told me.
I was told we can't, because the $12 we collect annual on your DMV goes toward that program. Therefore, maybe, yeah.
How about Ramsey? You're gonna miss the meeting.
I need to go. But Dale, let's keep that conversation. I like where
I was just told, so I figured I'd better ask.
I like where you're going with it.
Let's move to the next part of the agenda, which is future items. And if you want to have somebody specifically from the abandoned vehicle group to just give us some information on what's up with the latest program. I don't know that there's anybody on the call right now. That's not under you, is it, Craig? Abandoned vehicles?
Yeah, that would be separate.
Okay, well,
solid waste, but a separate section.
Okay, well, let's have somebody next time, if you still want to follow up, we could have just an informational piece on abandoned vehicles and how the program's going. Also, if they're, I'm gonna come up with Laura some language on I&I activities, Hilo side, and we'll get information back hopefully to you, Lee, on your questions. And if we don't, tell me again and I'll get them on the agenda. And if anything else that you'd like to discuss for next meeting, which you'll be doodled on when that is, let me and Peter know, and we'll get it on there. Our next meeting, as I said, is gonna be in Hilo theoretically. And we'll see if enough people are available on Friday or Thursday in August, I guess that is. To reschedule that meeting so we can hear the latest and greatest that Ramsey gets on the issue of non-point source. Is it a point source NPDES mess? Otherwise, does anybody else have something they want to say at this meeting? And
No, I hope my battery lasts
something
today.
in the chat about biochar. I don't know. Okay, but maybe we'll talk about biochar next time. I'll look into what that is about. From the chat. But again, if anything is hot that you want to talk about, let me know.
Right.
Otherwise I need oh, Sue, you're there? You want to make a
Yes,
comment?
thank you. Just real quick, I'm the one that wrote the information about biochar, and I am working with NRCS, excuse me, Kona Soul Water Conservation, and we listened to a Zoom with Doug Adams, trying to get Bethany involved in writing a grant proposal for biochar equipment, which would highly benefit our island to create really good organic soil, also using EM, effective microorganisms. I talked with Mayor about using EM and Genki balls island-wide, as it has helped clean up a lot of wastewater issues on the beaches. The concern of our beaches should be a state of emergency right now. It's our livelihood and tourism, and for locals to go to the beach, in the summertime daily, it has to be an emergency call for action right now. Thank you.
Okay, like I said, let me look into that and see. One, I need to make sure it fits within our charter. We're not the beach cleanup people, but so I'll talk with you later about that. Anything else, commissioners?
No, thank you.
And if there's a motion to adjourn?
I so motion.
Thank you, Cal. And I got a second from somebody. Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Leave the meeting. Thank you very much. Good conversation. Lots of stuff going on. Thank you.